Hello, my people. Good evening. I love this ring light. I can make videos even at nighttime. I hope you don't mind the kind of dim background there, but that's the window and the reflection on it. But I think it looks pretty good. What do you think? What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you don't mind this lighting. So, all right, guys. My name is Becca De Moulin, and I'm from GetLifeEnergy.com. And the purpose of this channel is to help you get more energy so that you can enjoy your life. And I'm here today to talk to you about trying yoga. Now, I'm a holistic health practitioner. I do massage therapy for a living, and I'm always helping people with their aches and pains and the tension that they've got in their stiff bodies. You know what people need? They need to stretch it out. They need to move their body. And yoga changed my life, absolutely 100%. So someday I will be a yoga teacher. I'm actually hoping to maybe embark on that this coming year in 2022. So let me just tell you a little bit about yoga and my personal experience with it. So people are always like, oh, yoga, oh, it's so good. And I was like, yeah, yoga, schmoga, whatever. I was someone who was like, I lift weights, I go for a jog. I was just very kind of like standardized in my knowledge of health and fitness. You know, I basically was doing the same stuff I had been doing since I was in high school. And I heard of yoga, heard that it was awesome. A lot of people really liked it. This is at least 10 years ago. So we're talking back when it was like $60 a month for a membership. Now it's like twice that much. But it was interesting. I got a job working as a massage therapist at this spa place in a shopping center here in San Diego. And above it, there was a Core Power Yoga. And I saw this Core Power Yoga studio every single day when I went to work, you know. And I kept thinking like, yoga. Yeah, a lot of people seem to really like that. I'd see all these fit people, good-looking people carrying yoga mats. And I kind of was like, that seems intimidating. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know how to do it. I don't even have a yoga mat. So it was definitely something that I was not easily interested in. But I heard a lot of people that seemed healthy and fit say how much they loved it. So it was on my radar for sure. But I really encourage you to try it. Just try it, okay? I'm not saying you got to go get a membership tomorrow. And I'm not saying you got to go do Kundalini heated 110-degree yoga. I'm saying give it a try. And please give it a little more of a try than like a one-time thing. Try a couple different types and try it a couple of times to see if you like it. Because it can for sure provide pain relief. There's just something magical about stretching every single muscle. When I worked at that massage spa, I was there for like 2.5 years, and I finally ended up going and talking to the manager upstairs, and I said, we recommend people to you guys all the time and tell them to come do yoga so that they can have less tension in their body. Could you guys like give us some kind of special price or whatever for referrals? So we worked something out with them where they gave us a discount, and then we gave them their employees a discount as well at the same place. I don't know if any of them ever took advantage of it, but somehow I worked out this deal with the manager of the massage place and the manager of the yoga place. So we got a discount on our monthly membership or on a package. So at the time, I wasn't comfortable with signing up for a monthly membership. I wasn't going to go to yoga that often, so I just got the like 10-pack. And I just went once a week. I found this one class that was on a day of the week that I could do it, and it was the basic class, okay? And what I was really grateful for Core Power Yoga specifically because they had a class that was always the same. It was the same series of movements each class. So you knew you were going to have to do chair pose at some point, which I hate, but you also knew that you were going to get to do pigeon pose at some point, which I love. And we did those standing postures like dancer and tree, which were so challenging for me, but in the beginning. But over time, I started figuring out how to do it, and I, got better with my balance. And I mean, you, like, I can't even begin to describe how many benefits there are to having better balance, to stretching pretty much every single muscle in your body. And again, that basic class stretched everything. There was a different stretch for pretty much everything. You got your hamstrings, you got your lower back, you got your arms, you got your shoulders, you got your ribs, chest opening. Like you want to curl down and scrunch in, and you also want to like open up and expand. You want to do both directions. You want to do everything. You want to go in and out. You want to go up and down. And there's just something about that full body class that it's like, depending on where you're going, I don't know if you're going to be able to find that exact thing. Other times teachers, I think Core Power Yoga still has that class. Like, why would they get rid of it? It's amazing. So if you go to a place like that, I haven't been to a Core Power Yoga in many, many years. But if you were going to a place like that, try that C1 class and see what you think about it. And the thing is, you can do that same class over and over until you get your bearings and get used to the names of the poses and get used to the what it looks like and what it feels like to be in the correct position. And then once you feel super good and super capable of doing that, then you can move on to doing a different type of class, or a more difficult class, or a more advanced class, or a heated class. So start with the basics, okay? Do not jump into some 95-degree power yoga class. You will get your ass kicked. You'll think, oh, yoga shouldn't be too hard. It's just stretching. Honey, it's hard. There's challenging postures up in there. So start with the basics, and then even the most beginner person can do it. To be honest, anyone can do it, because you're supposed to go at your own pace. You're not supposed to compete with someone else or compare yourself to somebody in the class who's doing it differently than you. You're supposed to do what you can do and what feels good in your body. This is the thing I like about yoga the most. There's this like holistic, loving, peaceful, yogi, meditative, spiritual piece where it's not about being cool or tough or comparing yourself to the other people in the class. And it's not about, it's not about showing off. Don't get me wrong. There are people who are very advanced and do beautiful, amazing things that might look like they're showing off. But it might also be that they just love doing that and that feels good for them and they want to challenge themselves. Like, I'm just saying, like, I could never do a headstand for years, and I still struggle with them, but I'd watch people just, like, getting into a headstand, and I'd be like, oh, my God, like, how do they do that? Like, wow. And here I am 10 years later, and I'm one of the people who gets into a headstand, and I'm not doing it to show off. I'm doing it because I'm wanting to make sure I can still do it and challenge my body. But it's totally beginner-friendly as long as you're doing basic classes, okay? Not the advanced ones. If there's a level 1, level 2, level 3, stay with the level 1, okay? But it is totally a beginner-friendly exercise, especially if you tell the teacher when you come in, they're gonna go, welcome, are you new here? And you're gonna say, this is my first time I've ever taken a yoga class. And sometimes they have it say all levels, or all levels yoga, or beginner yoga, or whatever. So I've seen people that are in their 70s and maybe even 80s doing yoga. I've seen people that are like, they look like they're like the stiffest guy who sits at a desk all day for 80 hours a week, and they're in there doing yoga, and they're doing their best, and they're doing what they can do. And even though there's people that are really flexible and are really stretchy and they can do these crazy deep versions of the posture, this guy over here is just doing what he can do, and he's feeling it, okay? And that's all that matters, is that you can feel it. You just go as far as when you feel the stretch, and then you just breathe. And that's another really phenomenal thing about yoga, is it gets you to breathe. A lot of us just don't breathe deep enough. Let me remind myself to breathe right now. But the breath is amazing too. just getting you to breathe deep and be in your body and feel what it feels like to be in your body is incredibly beneficial for your health. Moving your body is kind of the most important thing to keeping it alive and healthy. You know that whole adage of if you don't use it, you lose it? It's true. Being flexible, i.e. stretching your body and working on your flexibility, working on your flexibility prevents injury. So the more flexible you are, the less likely you are to get injured. So getting your booty into that yoga class, even once a week, is hugely beneficial. Remember how I said I started off with that one class and I just went once a week to the same class? I would feel really tired the next day. Like I got a killer workout and I was like, wow, man, I'm just doing like a yoga class and but it felt so good. And my clients were like, oh, do you like it? Do you like the yoga? And I was like, dude, it's like giving yourself a full body massage. And I still stand beside that. There's a lot of strengthening going on in it too. So it's not the same thing as just, stretching only, because the strengthening aspect of it is there to make you build, muscle strength. But flushing blood into your muscles is what a massage does. So in a way, it's like getting a massage, because it's like you're loosening up and stretching and moving the blood and the lymphatic fluid in through every single muscle of your body. And you don't have to do it every single day, okay? Even one time a week can be extremely helpful. For me, I just stuck with once a week for like 6 months. And after that 6 months of doing that same class every week, I don't know, maybe it was 4 months. But whatever the case, this was a long time ago. I felt competent and I knew what the names of the poses were because I'd seen them done a million times at this point. I was ready to go to the C2, and move up to the slightly more challenging class. And when I got into the more challenging class, it was a whole new ball game, and there was all these new poses I had never heard of, and I was like, what's that? What's that? What's that? And I'm like looking at the person next to me to see how to do it, or looking at the teacher to see how to do it. But they explain how to do it. They walk you through it every step of the way. The teachers are so supportive. Like they really want to help you. And if you tell them that you're new or this is my first ever level 2 class, don't be shy about telling them that, because they'll come over and make sure you're doing it right. And they'll be like, there you go. Now you're in the right position. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, cool. So rather than just being like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm a deer in headlights, you get the support of the teacher and the encouragement. I can't tell you how many times I've told a teacher, I hurt my something and I'm doing this, or oh, I'm trying to get back into it, or this is my first time doing this, or whatever, and have the teacher even say, good job, Becca, and like say my name and like acknowledge me for doing a really good job of that position. Or they'd be like, nice, so-and-so, because I like tried the more advanced version of the pose, even just once. Like I used to go into class and be like, today, I'm never going to put my knees down I'm going to do every chaturanga without my knees. And I'd get through about 2 chaturangas and then I'd be using my knees again. So, but even just trying, it's more important to have good form than to overexert. Just that's the truth with any type of exercise. So, okay, if you're new, get your bearings by doing the same class over and over. I highly recommend that. Just get used to it. Or even like, say you go to a studio and you like the instructor, try that instructor and try their stretch class, and then their vinyasa class, and then their hatha class, and then their blah, blah, blah. Like try that teacher for numerous types of things, because you know their style. Learn the basic poses. You're gonna figure them out really quickly, because you're gonna do them over and over in each class. And once you learn the basic poses, you're going to feel so much more confident about going into a studio, for example, if you've been, say, doing this at home and following like a YouTube channel. So let me just take a moment to tell you about the wealth of free yoga classes available on YouTube. Like you're watching this video on YouTube right now. Yay, YouTube. I found a teacher on YouTube named, her channel's called Yoga with Adriene, or actually a friend turned me on to her. I just Googled like yoga for back pain. Yeah, that's right. I'll actually share with you guys in the notes below this video my first ever yoga video that I did from YouTube that was called Yoga for Back Pain, and it's great. And it's definitely a beginner style. Super slow paced, very easy to maneuver. You're on the floor for the most of it, and it's only 30 minutes long, okay? So I was doing YouTube yoga. This was after I had injured my back, and I did not feel that I could do a full hour-long class at a studio. I was like, there's no way I can get through an entire yoga class right now, or there's no way I can do all those postures. It's gonna hurt. My back was really messed up. But I thought, let me try a 30-minute yoga class, on YouTube. So this friend of mine turned me on to Yoga with Adriene, and Yoga with Adriene is amazing. She has an entire channel dedicated to yoga. She's got all these different 30-day challenges where there's a different class each day for 30 days. I've never completed all of them. I've never completed all of the 30 days. I'll try and I'll drop off at day 15. I just can't seem to do it every single day. But, they're 20 minutes long. They're 15 minutes long. They're so doable. And it's nice to just have somebody there telling you what pose to do next, because once you start doing yoga, you're going to love it, or I think you're going to love it. And you're going to love how you feel after you do certain stretches. So I highly recommend that you do those stretches every single day. Just do it on your own, just because it feels good in your body. But sometimes it's nice to have that teacher explaining what to do next to keep you in the mode, I guess, so that you don't just walk away from the yoga mat and go answer your text or whatever, but that you stick with it for that 30 minutes. But I ended up finding this other channel called Boho Beautiful, and I love that channel. I adore that channel. I used to be kind of judgy of the teacher at first, because I was like, oh, who's this blonde girl with fake boobs? But blonde and fake boobs aside, she's amazing, and she's very holistic and very much a true yogi. And her channel is, again, 20-minute, 30-minute tops. I think she's got some longer videos if you search for them. But I've got a whole list of her videos along with Adriene's videos. And it's 15 minutes of yoga, 10 minutes of abs. 15 minutes of yoga, 10 minutes of abs. And there's a lot of strength building ones and abdominal focused. And also those videos are a little bit more challenging. I would say that they're intermediate. So if you've done yoga before and you just want to get back to it, but you want a little bit of a challenge, I'd go with Boho Beautiful. And if you're I've never done yoga in my life, I definitely would just start with Yoga with Adriene. And even if you like one of these videos, do the same video over and over. Do it every day. Do it every other day. Do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Challenge yourself to doing it 3 times a week, 4 times, whatever. And once you can get through that entire video and it feels awesome and it's not difficult at all, now you're ready to step it up to the next one. Okay, I just said this part, so I'm going to reiterate. When you do these classes or videos, either way, take note of what stretches feel amazing in your body, okay? And make a little mental note of them. There's this, Crescent Lunge, which is, not even going to try to explain it. Crescent Lunge, I like how that feels on my hip flexor. It stretches my hip flexor of the back leg. But there's this other one where you put your foot at a 45-degree angle and you turn your hips a little bit differently. And I think it's Warrior 2 or Warrior 1. Yeah, Warrior 1 maybe. It's got a different hip position and a different foot alignment. Oh my God. It gets that pelvic thing that's so tight from sitting down all the time. And I just love how that feels. And then when you do the reverse warrior, it stretches out your ribs and it opens up the side. Oh my goodness. It feels so amazing to just stretch these little areas of the body that when I'm doing yoga on my own, I automatically go to basically a sun salutation series, but you'll find out what that is as you start doing yoga. But I just automatically do this stretch and then this stretch and then this stretch and then this stretch. And I just do all 4 or 5 or 6 of these different stretches because I know that they hit those hips and that they open up the ribs. And it's like if I don't do those stretches each day, or at least a few times a week, I feel different, you know? Like if I come to work to do massage and I haven't stretched yet, I feel all funky. So if you find that there's some stretches, like I love lizard lunge, for example, that's another one that does a really great job on the hip flexor and on the glute of the other leg. It just feels so great that like just do that every day, you know, like do something. But doing these yoga moves, you'll start to notice which ones really alleviate pain in your body, or maybe they feel really hard to do, but that's okay if it feels hard. Just, you know, keep a bend in your knees. Don't crank on your body to the point where it's painful. Just go until the point that you feel it stretching, and then breathe at that point, and make note in your head of like, ooh, that posture really felt like it really loosened up my hamstrings, and that other posture, that was really cool. And now you can do those postures at home on your own, just for 10 or 15 minutes a day. And then when you go to the yoga studio, you do the whole routine. But now you have a little like tool bag of some stretches that you can use that help alleviate pain and pressure in your body. And you know what I mean? Like I would never know that doing a lizard lunge would create such a benefit to my body if I hadn't done yoga. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, it's a great modality for working with injuries because it's low impact. It's little to no impact, actually, if you're going to the standard like hatha, vinyasa type of classes. There's different classes that are more advanced, and there are classes like sculpt, where you're lifting weights and doing jumping jacks and you're bouncing all over the place, and those have impact because you're jumping up and down. But again, you're not going to start there, are you? You're not going to do that until you're ready for that. So if you sprained your ankle, obviously this isn't within 3 days of the sprain, but if, like, let's say you have an old injury, or like you've hurt your back in the past. Remember how I said I was scared to do yoga because I had hurt my back? Well, I did eventually get back into going to the yoga studio, and I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to make it through a whole hour class? But luckily I had learned from going to yoga in the past that it's not a competition. I don't have to do anything that anybody else is doing. If everybody else is doing what the teacher says, I can just be a defiant little shit and sit over here in meditation. I can lay on my back in Shavasana. I can do my own movements because that's what I need in that moment. And maybe I'll tell the teacher later, like, hey, I injured my back and I'm going to definitely go at my own pace or whatever. But what I mean is, if you're bent over and it feels amazing and they're moving on, you can just stay bent over for a moment and catch up with them later, okay? You need to do what you need to do. And you can also use blocks, and you can use other types of props to help you with the postures. And so after I hurt my back, I went back to yoga probably 6-7 months later, and I'd been doing the at-home yoga for a while, 15-20 minutes at a time. And I knew I needed more something, but I certainly couldn't like go lift weights or do anything with impact like running or stuff like that because my back was still pretty messed up. So I go in and I'm doing basic yoga, and there were parts that I was huffing and puffing. There were parts where I was so stiff that it was really challenging to do these postures that in the past were easy for me to do. So it kind of messed with my head a little bit, but it also made me be really grateful for the fact that I was doing this again and that I was trying. And again, with the whole like figuring out what postures do what, I remember like twisting this way and being like, oh, that feels good. And I had hurt my lower back, right? And then I go and twist this way and I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. And twisting the other direction felt absolutely crazy. Like inside my body was like, whoa! Again, no sharp pain. This wasn't like hurting me. Nothing was like spasming. There was no like sharp pain. Watch out for that. It was just like, oh my God, I'm stretching a muscle that I haven't stretched in 6 months. And I was like, wow. And it was exciting to like figure out how to get to these parts of my lower back that I had basically been icing and heat packing for the past 5 months and doing nothing else to heal. I did a lot of physical therapy too, which helped me feel stronger so that I could do other stuff. But, you know, you can work through injuries in a low impact yoga class. And I used a lot of blocks and I went really slow and I took a lot of breaks. So even if you've had an injury, you can still do this, but you got to do it at your own pace and don't go trying to go crazy in there. Okay. Just look out for yourself. There's multiple types of yoga. The common types are called hatha. There's also vinyasa. There's power yoga. There's hot yoga. And there's kundalini yoga. Kundalini I know the least about. I think it's a lot of breath work. Sometimes I find that frustrating when I'm sitting in a yoga class and I really want to stretch my body and they're like, breathe out of your nostril, breathe out of your other nostril. And I'm just like, I don't want to sit here and breathe. Maybe that just goes to show that I need to sit still and breathe because I'm too anxious or something. But I know that, you know, try different things, but start with the basics, please. But I know that I prefer vinyasa and that sometimes hatha is perfect for me if I'm really sore or if I'm just not feeling up to doing the vinyasa style. But the vinyasa style is where you do breath to movement. So ideally, if you have a good teacher, they start you out real slow and they get you going, this pose, nice and slow, hold it for a little while. Now they move you through a little faster where you're going inhale to this, exhale to this, inhale to this, exhale to this. And that kind of yoga just feels phenomenal to me. Some people don't like it, but I love it. I love the flowing and the moving aspect of it. Power yoga is usually heated, or at least it's going to have a lot of like squats and chair pose in it, which can drive you crazy. But if you're looking to strength build, it's amazing. And then hot yoga, it's really, really popular at a lot of the studios that I like to go to, but I am not the biggest fan, to be honest. It's freaking hot. It's so draining. You're going to sweat your face off. Some people feel like, oh my God, it's the most amazing thing ever. It's so detoxifying. I sweat, 1,000 calories. I don't know how many calories you actually burn, but it's a flush. And sometimes the heat alone is a bit much for it loosens up your muscles so much that you stretch really, really far, which means you could be prone to overstretching, which can cause pain and stiffness afterwards. I've definitely experienced that many times from doing hot yoga. So I don't recommend the heated yoga unless you are a really stiff person. It might feel fantastic because it loosens you up a lot. But some people just can't handle it. They just hate the heat. They hate the sweaty. They feel gross. I completely understand how you feel with that. I like it a little bit. I would say I can do a hot yoga class once a week, but I could do a regular yoga class 3 times a week. And also, there's this amazing thing called Yin Restorative Yoga, where you lay on the floor and you do like 5 postures the entire hour. That's an amazing type of yoga to do if you've been doing the more vigorous kinds and you need to take a break. It's also an amazing type of yoga to do if you hurt your back and you want to just rest in some postures and let the gravity do the work. Or if you've been lifting weights and you're just really sore from lifting weights, it's just really restorative. It really is restorative. That's why it's called restorative yoga, or yin. Yin is yin yang. So yin is just a word for relax, basically. All right, what else do I got for you here? Do I want to give you some cons? I'm like, a good yoga mat makes a huge freaking difference. The best brand, I think, is Manduka. I think they're like made out of recycled materials and they're sustainable, so they're not made out of like weird, stuff that harms the environment. So they're freaking expensive. Like we're talking like $80. But you don't need to start off with a mat like that. You could just get a cheapo. But the thing is, the cheapo mat is a cheapo mat because it's cheap. So it's not going to last as long. It's not going to be as cushy. It's not going to be as sturdy. I've got a mat now that's good for doing heated yoga because I was doing like a weekly heated yoga class at the time that I bought the mat, and it's made to like not slide when it's damp, but it's really thin, and I like a thicker mat, to be honest. So at home I have two mats. I have a cheapo mat and then the good one on top, so that I have extra cushion. It feels better on the knees. Those really thick mats, they're very spongy looking. They're nice on the knees, but they suck. They stretch when you're pressing on them. They like move. They're total garbage. They're like $10 mats. But you could put one of those mats underneath a more sturdier style. But just keep that in mind, that a good mat makes a huge difference. And you can always buy a cheapo and double it up at home. And the teachers will explain how to make it comfortable. Some places have little extra squares so that if your knees are sensitive, when you put your knee down, you can always like slide that square in underneath your knee just to give extra cushion. And I've even heard that you can buy the really high quality yoga mats like secondhand. So these like $80, $90 yoga mats, you could buy one on Craigslist or something from somebody for like $40, and they've only used it a few times and they don't need it or whatever. I mean, if you're cool with it, you could just sanitize it. But I met somebody that was like, oh, I bought this on Craigslist. And I was like, wow, I would have never thought that someone would sell a used yoga mat. But then again, I use a mat for years and I use the shit out of it. And now I've upgraded to buying nicer mats anyway. So I've got a really nice mat at this point. But again, like I said, I think it's a little too thin. I'd like to buy a thicker version. Okay. And the last piece I have for you is what the hell is this, namaste? Like, why is there a prayer hands emoji? Like, what's this all about? But there's just this beautiful meditation part of yoga that you got to experience it to know what it is. Sometimes teachers do an om or 3 ohms at the beginning of class. It's really cool to do that. Try not to be judgmental of the woo-woo aspect of it when you go in. Just go in open-minded, and just remember that like this is about creating peace in the body. Like these ancient yogis were these, they knew what they were doing, man. Like this has been around for a long time. And there's very much a component to all this that creates a lot of peace and relaxation. And there's like a meditative part of it. Like, okay, I'll tell you one little quick story before I wrap up the video. So remember how I said I started off by going to the same class over and over every week, in which we did the same series of postures every time? Well, I was always like, oh my God, how do I do this? What is downward facing dog? What is that? What is, I was just trying to like analyze and learn and figure out what the names of the postures were. And there's this posture called tree. And in tree pose, you stand on one leg and you put your other leg up against your thigh, and you put your hands like this and you balance and you just breathe, and you're breathing in and out of your nose, Okay. And I remember being like, this is so hard. And I would fall and I'd be like wobbling, and I'd have to, I would fall out of it, and then I would try to get back into it, and I'd fall out of it again, and I'd try to get back into it. And I have one ankle that's way more wobbly than the other ankle. So I have a good ankle and then I have my bad ankle. But it's like, I'm starting to get a little bit better on that, even on the bad ankle, where I can hold the posture for a little while. But okay. I didn't get into doing meditation until about 3 years ago. And I've been into yoga since about 13 years ago. So let's just say it took me a long time to get to the meditation stuff. But this was this amazing realization for me. I'm in this class. I'm doing the tree pose, okay? And I'm trying to look at something that's not moving. And I'm going, just trying to hold this freaking posture. And I remember having this moment of clarity where I was like, I'm a tree. And I was just trying to think like tree pose in my head and breathe and, And I realized in this instant, oh my God, I have no thoughts in my mind. I'm meditating. This is it, this is such a physically challenging thing for me to do that I have no thoughts in my mind except for you know? And it was amazing. I was like, oh my God, this is what meditating is. It's like no thoughts, just I'm here. I'm in my body. I'm a tree. It was quite an amazing realization for me. But you know, it's funny because now that I'm better at yoga, now I can be in tree pose and be like, okay, what should I do later? Should I go to the grocery store after I leave? So it's hard to stay in that meditative state, but it's pretty amazing when you're there and you realize that you're not thinking about anything and you're just present. You know, it's like, oh my God, wow. So I hope you try yoga. If you do, let me know how it goes for you. Let me know in the comments below if you love yoga, if it's something that you've done or been interested in or even wanting to try it. And please, 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 if you've never done it before, don't be intimidated. Start with some of the YouTube stuff, get your bearings, and get out there and try it, because I guarantee you, you're gonna feel good and you're gonna feel a sense of accomplishment after you do it, and you're gonna feel better in your body, and you're gonna wake up the next day with more energy for your life, and then I will have done my job. So thank you so much for coming and watching this video, and if you're one of my subscribers, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being a subscriber. If you're not subscribed, hit the friggin' subscribe, and share this video with your friends. If they're scared of trying yoga, get their asses out there. Go join a yoga group and, you know, get them to go with you. But give it a try. What do you have to lose, okay? You might just feel amazing and be really grateful and find something that you can do even when you're injured, and even when you're out of shape, and even when you feel like you're not very fit. You can do it, and it's going to help you feel better in your body, in your mind, and even in your little spirit. Namaste. I hope you try yoga, and have a good day.